Hey guys, SpinoDude here, and welcome back to another review. Today guys, we are continuing the hashtag howisafari campaign with another look at a brand new 2019 Safari Ltd figure. So let's have our co-host Marvin bring it out. Thank you, Marvin. Alrighty guys, so today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new 2019 Safari Ltd Spinosaurus. It's finally here, and I want to send a big thank you out to Safari Ltd for sending this figure over to the channel, as always. And without further ado guys, let's jump into the review. But before we take a closer look at the figure, here are a few quick little facts about Spinosaurus itself. This animal's full name is Spinosaurus aegypticus. Spinosaurus itself means spined lizard. It was a spinosaurid theropod from the Cretaceous period of what is now Africa. Spinosaurus might be the largest carnivorous dinosaur that we know of, but some recent studies are questioning this. The presence of pressure sensors on its snout, very similar to crocodilians, suggests that this animal had an aquatic diet, particularly fish. Its long crocodilian-like snout and conical teeth were perfect for catching slippery prey. Alrighty guys, well there are a few quick little facts about Spinosaurus itself, but before we zoom in and take a closer look at the details and everything on this figure and discuss it in detail, I wanted to just address the size of this. This figure is way larger than it appears in the promo images. It is massive. So Marvin, why don't you bring in the tape measure quick? Thank you, Marvin. Alright, so this figure is too large for our trusty flexi ruler. So in terms of the length from the tip of the tail to the tip of the snout, this thing is 14 inches long, which is about 35 centimeters. And in terms of the height at the highest point in this position, we are looking at about 4.5 inches, which is about 11 centimeters. So this figure is huge. You can even see the size of my hand next to it. It is substantially larger than it appears in the promo images, in my opinion, even though I expected this figure to be particularly large. Now, we have to address the elephant in the room, guys. This is a very controversial figure and is viewed very negatively in the community, and when I first saw it, I had very mixed feelings on this figure, particularly negative feelings towards this figure when I first saw it. And over time, those negative opinions started growing, and I really just wasn't excited for this figure anymore. But I can say with full confidence, guys, this is me being completely honest, after getting this figure in person, I think it deserves a second chance. Now, we're going to talk about that in detail a little bit more, but before we go on, I actually have an email from one of my contacts at Safari Ltd, and they reached out to the sculptor for this figure, and the sculptor has sent some comments over with some information behind the process of making this figure, so I thought you guys would be interested in hearing this. Now, we know the most controversial point with this figure are the legs in the back here, and the tail with some people, but mostly the posture of the legs. The Spinosaurus is supposed to be in a swimming position, and the sculptor said that he studied a number of skeletal reconstructions of Spinosaurus, and he believes that the legs back here are within a natural range of motion that the animal could have achieved with its legs. So if it was in a swimming posture, then it could move its legs back into this position. Now, I can definitely see this after I have this figure in hand and I was inspecting it more. If the animal had to move its legs back into this position, I could see it achieving this range of motion with its back limbs here. But ultimately, I think that there's no real scientific problem with this pose. I think it's just the creative choice behind this pose that's just jarring to a lot of fans, including myself. I will say right now with full confidence that this would be my favorite Spinosaurus figure in my collection if it just had a different posture. I just think it looks awkward when it's planted on the ground like this. Particularly the legs, of course. It's because the front part of the body here, to me, looks like it's in a terrestrial pose. It looks like it's holding its claws close to its chest, its head is up and alert, and then the back part of its body with the tail and the legs here is in a rather active pose. Like you can see the tail is very wavy. I think the tail is a little bit too wavy, and I would have liked it to be a little bit thicker, maybe look a little more powerful. More muscular, and then the legs of course are kicking back in a swimming posture. So I think it's just the fact that the back half of this animal looks rather active, while the front half looks rather relaxed to me, and I just think those two sort of situations clash together, and it doesn't give a very appealing look to this figure's posture, in my personal opinion. But ultimately, I would have liked a more neutral terrestrial pose with this Spinosaurus. All that would really need to be resculpted to make this my favorite Spinosaurus figure ever would be the leg posture and the tail. But other than that, that's really the only thing that I'm not a fan of with this figure. And like I said, I think this figure deserves a second chance just for the effort that went into the sculpt alone. I will say right now with full confidence that out of all the 2019 Safari Ltd figures that I own, this Spinosaurus has my favorite detail and my favorite paint application out of all of them. But anyway, that's my talk on the posture of the Spinosaurus here, but let's go in and take a look at the details and everything else that this figure has to offer, because there's a lot of really cool details on this. Alright, so zooming in on the body, you can see what I mean about great detail on this figure. The scales are beautifully sculpted throughout. I really like these larger, squarish, almost reptilian looking scales that are going down the side of the body there. I think that separates the scales on the body from the scales on the actual sail. And let me actually move the camera up here so you can take a look at the sail in detail. Again, really nice scalation going throughout, slightly different shapes and depth in the crevices between the scales, or the gaps between the scales on the sail as opposed to on the body. Here are the legs. The legs have really nice toned musculature throughout, and here are the feet. With the webbing going between the feet, you can see the dew claw there as well. I think the dew claw is just a little bit large and a little bit too far up on the foot. I think it would have looked better a little bit back. The claws are quite blunt on the feet. I assume that's for child safety. The underbelly has really nice square scales, very large and square scales that I quite like going along the belly there, as you can see. The arms are beautifully done. I really like the arms. Great toned musculature, and just the posing of them as well, especially looking underneath. I really like how the claws are turned in, and you can see the claws are done in black on the front limbs, just like on the back. And here's a look at the arm here from the other side, and there is the other leg on the other side, and here is the tail. Again, I feel like the tail is a little bit too wavy, especially if you're looking at it from above, and it dips down at the back, but I assume that's for stability, because that's one of the points that touches the ground when you have this figure setting down. Really nice scales going down the tail, very crocodilian, which I don't mind. I actually quite like the way the scoots look going down the top of the tail. I think it's a nice stylistic choice. And then going up into the neck now, I really like these large scales on the back of the neck. I think that just really separates or helps separate the head from the rest of the body. I think it's a very unique choice of scalation detail, and I think that looks fantastic there. Here is the head. This is my favorite Spinosaurus head sculpt that I have in my collection right now. I mean, that is just absolutely beautiful right there. Really beautiful shaping, definitely looks like a Spinosaurus. Individually sculpted teeth, which are very nicely done. They look even better than they do in the promo image. I also really like the shaping of the crest and the overall size of the crest on the head, and that's done in a different color, a nice red color to help it stand out. The green eyes I really like as well. The color choice for the eyes is fantastic. Really makes them pop and helps the head stand out even more. I really like the throat area, the way that's sculpted, and the overall gape of the jaws is really nice on this figure here. There's a little bit of white paint bleed on the mouth there. Only on this side though. If we go over to this side, you can see the teeth are very nicely painted. Hardly no bleed at all, and I prefer the head from this side. I overall like the expression in the eye better over here. The nostrils are also very nicely sculpted out, as well as the ears right behind the head there. And the interior of the mouth has been sculpted and painted in a fleshy pink color as well, and the tongue especially has a very nice texture to it. And then another one of my favorite parts of this figure is the coloration. Now, you guys know from my initial thoughts video, because a lot of people wanted to hear my initial reaction to this figure, when I did my thoughts video on it, I absolutely adored the colors, and I still do. A lot of people don't like the coloration on this figure, but I just like it. I think it's naturalistic, I think it's quite exotic as well in the patterning that's going on. I will say the colors are much darker and muted in person as opposed to how they appear in the promo images, but I like it. I actually like them better a little bit muted. We have more of like these orangey browns as opposed to like the brighter oranges that were mixed in with the brown colors and the bright yellows. And on the sail there's even like some dark brownish red that's highlighting some of the markings going throughout and such. But overall, really nice color blending. I like the underbelly color as well. And this is my favorite Spinosaurus color pattern that I have in my collection. Now another thing is too, especially with Spinosaurus, I like the sail to be a different color because the sail is such like a prominent feature on Spinosaurus and other prehistoric creatures like Dimetrodon. But in this case, there's just something about the patterning and the colors that they've chosen. I just really like it being the same colors as the body. I can't put my finger on it, but I just do. I think it looks great overall. And while we're here, let's scoot the Spinosaurus over to this side, and let's bring in the other mega theropods from Safari. So first we have their Giganotosaurus from 2017. I really like the way these two look. They have kind of similar striping patterns going on. The Spinosaurus has a lot more detailing going in with the airbrushing of the different colors across the body. The Giganotosaurus is just one solid color, but I think these two look really cool next to each other. And then I'm also going to bring in the 2017 feathered Tyrannosaurus Rex. So you have these three fan favorite carnivores from Safari now. And overall, I think they look really nice next to each other. I just wish the Spinosaurus had a different posture though, so you could stand it up next to these guys. Because see, if you hide the legs over here and hold it up at a position like this, it actually looks really cool with these guys. But as soon as you bring it in and lay it on the ground, it just has such a jarring appearance, in my opinion, that's distracting when posed with these other figures over here. And out of all of these, I like the colors on the Spinosaurus the best, I've got to say. And the Spinosaurus has some of the best detailing out of all of these too. I still really like the neck feathers on the T-Rex here. I think the 2017 Rex might beat it for detailing with the scalation there just because of the size of the scales, and the feathers on the neck look great. But Spinosaurus gets second place out of these three, definitely. So, as we conclude our review on the new for 2019 Safari Ltd Spinosaurus, I've got to say, if you're a fan of Spinosaurus, I think this figure deserves a second chance. Just for the detailing, the coloration, the overall sculpt work that went into it, it's great. My only real disappointment with this figure is the creative choice behind the posture. But other than that, I have to say, I really like everything else that this figure has to offer. I will say with full confidence, if Safari re-releases this figure one of these upcoming years with a resculpted tail and resculpted legs, this would be my favorite Spinosaurus figure that's in my collection, hands down. But that's going to be it for today's review, guys. If you want to get this figure for yourself, go to amazon.com/Safari Ltd or go to www.safariltd.com and use the coupon code SpinoDude, that's SpinoDude, to get 10% off your next order. So anyway, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel. Also leave a comment telling me what you think of this brand new Spinosaurus figure. So thank you so much, guys, for watching, and as always, I will see you in my next video. So take care, and bye-bye.